Better late than never. Welcome in CHGO Bears Podcast. It's a Friday. We're the opposite of chilling right now, quite frankly. It was a hot one out there. And practice wasn't so bad today. It was like the walk over after practice, after we got done with the interviews and everything.
I got a ride, so it was actually not too bad.
From who?
Some random person. Actually, I wish I remembered her name. She was so nice. She picked me up.
She gave you a ride. You got to remember that.
I have her name. In the vlog, but
just so people understand, it is a hot, black, tarped, awful walk that is far to get back to the parking lot. It's 20 minutes. It's not that bad, but you don't want to do it. You're not looking forward to it, and the fact that Nick got a ride today means that I kind of want to hit him in the face.
We are in close quarters,
but
too,
I
so
love you, buddy.
Doable.
Congratulations. I'm just looking around. Does anybody like me around here who's going to offer a ride? Like Cheryl Ray Stout gets rides, Nick's getting rides.
I got a ride over to the practice.
There
field
you
today.
go. You got no one likes me. That's fine.
It took me 13 years, but I finally achieved status where random cart guy is like, "Hey, Adam, you're going to be late. Let me give you a ride."
I mean, the cart guys just smile at me, look at me, wave, and keep moving.
I finally feel like Larry Mayer. It's great. Anyway, welcome in. We're here. We are a little bit late. It was a little hectic getting out of Hal's Hall today and setting us all up. But we're good to go. We got a lot to talk about. And
very interesting day, I thought.
Yeah. Definitely more interesting today, I think, off the practice field than on it. But we'll get into all that. Adam Hoge, Mark Carman, Nicholas Moreano, Greg Braggs Jr. We're all here. And it's a nice temperature inside the studio mansion today.
The mansion is cooling. I'd like to take a slight apology to upper level management. When I came in today, I did not have my allergy medicine, so I went back out to the car and I left the front door open for a couple of seconds, and mansion personnel quickly was on my case, and I had to apologize because I just, I didn't think it was, I thought it was going to be right there on the seat, and then it wasn't there, and I couldn't find it. So the door was open for like 48 seconds, and mansion personnel was there, and I apologized greatly, and that will not happen again.
For leaving the door open?
Yes.
Mansion personnel.
Well, it's cold in here. It's 8,000 degrees outside.
Yeah.
Can't be leaving the door open in this weather. That's on me.
Speaking
That's
of doors,
my
did you close that door?
Yes, I did.
Okay.
Yes, I did.
Good.
Yes, I did.
Because we don't need any near-death experiences like the other day.
Yeah.
All right. Best and worst of the day. Nick, let's start with you. Best.
I wrote mine down in here. I'm going to go with my best, the Chase Claypool one-on-one rep versus Tyreek Stevenson. There was one, I think it was a little slick out there, you guys, due to the rain that happened this morning, because Claypool fell as he was breaking down on his route, but still he was able to recover and catch the ball over Tyreek Stevenson. We saw how yesterday, how it ended for Chase Claypool. Had a little bit of a collision, but he looked good out there. He was participating in all the drills, so it was good to see that. My worst was it could be a worst or a best based on how you look at it, but it was a Chase Allen fumble. I thought he made a couple of plays in yesterday's practice, and I put that in my notebook that went out yesterday, but today he had a fumble, and then every single play afterwards, you saw Chase Allen. He was just covering up the ball, making sure that, he wasn't going to do that again.
Okay, I'll go. I've got two. I'm allowed to do two. I'm going to make that rule right now. Number one for me was the back-to-back plays for Justin Fields. He threw a bullet to DJ Moore, who was being covered by Jaylon Johnson, and I love that Jaylon Johnson loves competing against DJ Moore. It was a great throw, good defense, good catch, high-level play, NFL, Pro Bowl level. That was awesome to see. Next play, lofts a beautiful ball to Komet on a flag. And, 30-40 yard pass that, we're talking touchdowns. That was a nice little combo. Here, there's a bullet. There's the touch. So those on the field, that was that. And then off the field, I thought Jaylon Johnson was absolutely phenomenal today. We'll get into it later. But listening to that dude talk, it just underlined to me how much, not only why you want him on the football team because of what he does on the field, but also the leader that he is and the way he just approaches everything. Big fan of Jaylon Johnson.
We watched practice today with Greg Braggs and his people. It was quite the experience.
Our people. It's not just my people. It's our
no, they're
people.
your people.
I got to get my phone at one of the ad breaks. I got 17 aggressive. I got a bunch of people written down who all said hello today. So
did you do your worst?
I did not do my worst. We're all doing our best right now, or do I got to do my worst? I should probably be able
One of
to.
these days before camp's over, Carman will understand the segment. I don't know when that'll be, but we'll get there.
Oh, yeah, right. You did Chase Allen for your worst. Right. Okay. This is the day. I've got it now. I officially got it. My worst, That's interesting. What was my worst from today? Nothing really stood out. I guess I'll throw Tyler Scott as my worst because he's getting open. That speed is beautiful, but he has not had a day where he hasn't dropped a pass that he should have caught. So that's a drop concerning. I like what I've seen from Tyler Scott. We've had some positive conversation with him, and he deserves it. But every single day he's dropping a ball that he shouldn't. So that's I'll put that as my worst.
Yeah, my best certainly. Terrell Lewis is starting to make his presence felt. I think there's a good chance that this guy, if he continues his play, is going to make this team. He's getting reps with the ones. He's really imposing.
He's definitely
himself.
dominating non-padded practices since
Yes.
OTAs.
And
Yes.
So I want to
right.
see one of those pads go on.
Yep, because he gave Darnell Wright the power arm, pushed him back, and then was able to get inside towards Justin Fields. That's when the interception to TJ Edwards occurred, because it was basically like two separate plays where you could say Terrell Lewis got the sack, and then they let the play continue so Justin Fields could get a rep, and then he throws it right into TJ Edwards' hands. So I think my best is all eyes on Terrell Lewis. I think I'm messing this up, but that's my on the field. Off the field, I'm giving my credit to you guys for my best. You guys showed up to the stands where the fans are.
Let's
Because
give the proper shout out. So I know Brendan, we got to give a shout
Brendan
out to.
Segru was out there. My guy Lou Medina from Bleacher Nation Bears, Jack Wright. These guys are all mainstays on Bears Twitter. Even NFL Outdated, a guy named Andy who runs the NFL Outdated account on Twitter with like 40,000 followers. He was hanging out with us. Really good dude. So we had our little Bears Twitter hangout in the corner of the bleachers. And when I went to go to training camp back in the day, I always appreciated John Moonmullen, God rest his soul, because when we went to Bourbonnais, all the media is on the field, but he was always the smart one that would sit at the top of the bleachers because he wanted to get a better vantage point of, practice so he could do his job well. And I said it to somebody before you guys came over that you guys on this third field as media members get screwed in a lot of ways because they put you in a section of the bleachers where it's your own area, but you're so far away from the action that I think it's harder to do your job from there. And then sure enough, here comes Nick, here comes Mark, here comes Hoge, and you guys came over there and sat with us, A, to do your job better, but B, you're ingratiating yourselves with the fans. And I just know from my perspective back in the day, being able to sit with Moon Mullen, that we appreciate that on both standpoints, giving us the good coverage. So shout out to you guys. My worst is got to be, Tyreek Stevenson 3 days in a row is getting burned, right? I mean, it's welcome to the big leagues. I'm not concerned about him, ascending. He's a rookie. We saw this last year with Kyler Gordon have his early on struggles, but Tyreek Stevenson 3 days in a row, he's getting it from DJ Moore. He's today 3 times in a row or Claypool. 2 times in a row to Chase Claypool. Chase Claypool turned him out at one point. So, he's got to, get his bearings. He's learning, DJ Moore gives him a little nudge on the first day, Chase Claypool today. So, nothing of concern, but if we're just going to do a best to worst, I think I would go with that.
I'm just going to disagree with you a little bit. It is a concern. They are putting a lot on his shoulders. I would say that I'm not saying it's a long-term concern, but for this year, that right now to me feels like a scab that's going to continue to get picked at a lot early in the season.
They're always going to pick on rookies, but he's known for being a physical corner. And when you have non-padded practice, you can't insert your physicality to the game.
That's fair. That's fair. I just thought
it was more interesting that Terrell Smith's
he looks good
thrown in there today in what looked like a rotation. I know Alan Williams said after practice not to read too much into that, but I was reading into it.
I think that's fair.
Because if up until today it seemed pretty clear cut. Now, if they were just trying to get another rookie some work, I like it, but I would think you would actually ease off on Jaylon Johnson then.
But
Thinking of both out there.
Terrell Smith was injured during the OTAs and minicamp too. We didn't see a lot of him out there. Maybe that's the reason. But like you, I was kind of reading into him getting some first team reps today.
My best was TJ Edwards' interception late in practice. Now it comes with a little bit of a caveat because I think live in a game, Justin Fields would have already been sacked on that play. But they carried out the play, and the reason why I liked Edwards was because it still showed really good instincts for him to jump wherever Justin was throwing that ball. I couldn't really tell, but he still jumped it and made like this really nice, like one-handed, like almost like scoop catch while on the run towards the end zone. So, not the end of the world for Justin. That's his only interception in the first 3 days, at least by my count. There's a couple here and there that probably should have been intercepted, but they were dropped. But today, I'm going to give that one more as like a credit to the defender for making a really nice play using his instincts. TJ Edwards, nice play. I was also, going to say Tyler Scott's drops as my worst.
Oh, okay.
It's right there. What's next to Mark's name? Oh, nothing. Okay.
Oh God. Why can't we have the same worst?
I'll give you a different one because I was brainstorming while Brax was talking coming up with a second one. Just the tight ends in general today. Cole Kmet did have that really nice catch like right away early in one-on-ones, but otherwise you mentioned Chase Allen's drop. Jake Tonjes got stripped at one point.
Dropped one too.
And then there was a false start by Tanyan. So just all around with the tight ends, too many mistakes today. So that can be my worst too.
Overall, though, are you liking what you're seeing from Tanyan? Because I'm liking what I'm seeing from Tanyan.
He's got good hands. I think that false start today was probably a result of what we were talking a lot about yesterday with the cadences, and you could tell they were still. Today, we kind of skipped over this, but today was like almost like a walkthrough type pace for a lot of practice. You could tell that they were installing a lot of stuff, and I wonder. We didn't get to talk to the head coach today. I wonder if they switched things up based on the weather forecast and they just decided, okay, yesterday was really hot.
Right. I completely agree.
I think they saw that tomorrow's forecast, it's going to be, the humidity is going to go down. It's going to be probably closer to like 78, 79. And then tomorrow going day off after that. I think you'll see more speed tomorrow.
Completely agree because I almost died just sitting in the stands yesterday. So imagine having pads on, even if it's limited pads and a helmet. I mean, it was insanely hot yesterday and today. Because that rain came in, it was actually pretty nice all the way until like right at the end when the sun poked out at the end of practice. So that was my other bad was the practice was boring. We want to see more fireworks, At one point, I'm like, can we stop with the special teams practice? Because I know how much Hoge loves special teams. We're like, my God. Can I get some balls in the air?
We had some of our and I didn't even know they were there, ran into some of our Carmel players were at practice today, and I was getting on them. They weren't watching special teams.
I saw that.
I mean, what the heck? Your special teams coordinator sitting just a few rows behind you. You gotta watch what's going on, Carm.
Well, and Coach Hoge was out today. Hey there, Willie and Bob and whatever their names were. You let them know that you were there. Then you yelled at them, how come you're not watching special teams? Then after that, you walked over and sat next to them to make sure that something positive was happening. So I
ruined their practice.
Like we're out of here.
We're leaving.
I had to leave about 10 minutes before the end of practice for personal reasons. And your players were all walking out too because they had enough of you.
Oh yeah.
They were out the door.
That's fine.
And Braggs, where you sat today, where we all sat today, was a little bit in the shade. So
you're welcome. Now you're finally following.
Well, right, but
I'm making training camp's my life. Okay, we're in my wheelhouse today. So just
what have you been doing the last 2.5 hours?
Follow me.
What have you been doing the last 2.5 hours?
Well, I was on with my guys, the Irish Bears show. I came here
international.
And I went on your back porch and I was on a podcast for like 45 minutes.
Is that why the police called me?
Yeah. Well, your neighbor,
I got this.
When I got out of the car, your neighbor was pulling up and I just walked through the middle of the houses and I'm pretty sure she was like, okay, I'm being robbed. Then I just sat down and started doing a podcast. So
he's still there.
It's mansion land.
I should notify the neighborhood that there's going to be this weird, creepy Bears fan hanging out. Don't call the police. All right. I love this Darnell Wright story. This was like one of the training camp moments where I'm just like, yes, this is what it's all about. I love days like this. So we heard from Ryan Poles the other day on report day that Darnell Wright crushed the offseason, dropped a bunch of weight, came back. They did the conditioning test and he crushed the conditioning test. He said he didn't even break a sweat. So obviously we get to talk to Darnell Wright today. That's one of the first things that comes up. And he's like, yeah, so here's what happened. On the way out, before the 6 weeks off, looked at the conditioning test and accidentally looked at the wide receiver test. So I've been training for that one. So he spent 6 weeks training for the wide receiver conditioning test, not the offensive line test. And no wonder he crushed the offensive line test.
God.
The wide receiver test, like the hardest one you could do.
Yeah, no doubt.
Just so you understand the way this works is like there's a certain yardage, back and forth. You have to run. Typically, I don't necessarily know what this specific test is the Bears do, but typically it's certain yardage. A lot of times it's 300 yards total in a certain period. Like you got to run it under a minute or whatever, right? So, but that time that they put on it, or sometimes the length, it sounds like the Bears wide receivers run a little bit longer than the offensive line. You have to beat whatever that time. That time varies based on what position you play. They're not expecting the right tackle to run as fast as the cornerbacks, obviously. But he ran the wide receiver time, which is A, hilarious, and B, very impressive.
Yeah.
Like, what? Now on the flip side, did he lose too much weight? Like, I'm not going to totally dismiss those that are like, well, wait a minute, how come he didn't know what test to run and did he lose too much weight? But I'm more impressed with the fact that he did it and he ran it. He still looks massive. He's still a giant right tackle. I don't think it's going to be that big of a concern.
I got a funny comment. So what you're saying is he doesn't pay attention to detail. Great. And you put like a laughing emoji. But it's impressive that, like you were saying, Adam, that a 300-pound plus human being who's not supposed to be running the distance, the speed that wide receivers are running, he did it and prepared and crushed his test. So I think it shows the competitiveness that Darnell Wright has and what he's willing to push his body through to get it ready for the season. So kudos to Darnell Wright for doing the wrong test, but I think ultimately benefiting him in the end.
Well, he said that he lost 16 pounds roughly, and that he hasn't lost any muscle mass. Doesn't look like he's lost any muscle mass, but I think the word competitor is a good one for Darnell. So he is like, it's interesting too, because this big mauler who's gonna eat people, and then he gets up there and he speaks, he's the most soft-spoken dude ever. So
a lot of offensive linemen are like that. Like I've always wondered, Cody Whitehair is the same way.
Braxton, he's a little more, has a little more, I guess, force in his voice, but he's not like, he doesn't sound super raw, like he's gonna, eat 5 steaks before he goes out there. By the way, it was also interesting that Darnell said that he's been leaning on Braxton a ton.
Yeah.
For information.
But you know what I like hearing from him is that he hired a personal chef.
That was good too.
So you take some of that top 10 money and you invest it back in your body and your nutrition. I like that. If I was ever rich, that's like one of the first things I think I would buy.
Easy.
Right?
Yep.
It's like just pay a personal chef to come cook all your meals.
It'd be amazing.
And fold my laundry because I hate laundry. Laundry's the worst.
I
Some
don't
people
mind
say
too
they
much.
like doing laundry.
I don't like doing
I
it.
just have Jenny do it.
Okay.
It's a progressive show. You start doing your own.
Honest.
You start doing.
She
Does
won't
she
let me
cook too?
No, I cook. We split that duty because I grill and she cooks the stuff inside.
You
But
do live in Indiana. I forgot.
what does that mean? And if I
We know what it means.
And if I see. And if I fold the laundry, it's just like grocery
Mike
shopping.
Pence is
Like,
hanging out in his
yeah, I'll
cul-de-sac.
do it, but then I'm not gonna do a good job of doing it. So then she just is like, leave this to me. Do not do this. So I'll just stuff it all in the drawer.
Yeah, got it. Back to Darnell Wright. Good guy in that locker room. Like him. And
Rex, not a good guy, right? A good guy.
You're a fantastic person.
Okay.
Jaquan Brister spoke today too. Another good guy. That was interesting though. That did Ryan Poles know when he said he crushed his conditioning test? Did he know why?
I don't think so because that question came up and he's like, I think that's the first time I've said that. Darnell Wright was like, I think that's because I wanted to know if the offensive linemen were giving him a hard time. Like, dude, you did the wrong test and now you're making us look bad. Now we're gonna have to start running like linebacker times.
I mean,
Jeez.
Poles' transparency, which he gives us a ton of, you would think that if he knew about it, he might have said, like, he trusted his straight, like he was trying to do the wide receiver thing. And so he probably would have said something like that if he knew. That's what it felt like to me.
My mom is in the chat and she said, I failed. He's never done laundry. She's not wrong.
Like,
I really put it together perfectly. I lived with my mom and then I moved in with Jenny. So I've literally never had to do it.
So here's the deal. Before I left this morning, I was trying to get a load of laundry in and I just couldn't, ran out of time, had to get to practice. So when this show's over, we're going to have you go upstairs and start my laundry.
It'd be a nightmare. It'll be a nightmare.
It's not hard. You literally just put the clothes in, get a little bit of detergent, and press the button.
I will mess it up. I will mess it up.
Steps. Hey, Barb, Mama Braggs, you didn't do anything wrong. He's an outstanding human being. We love him dearly, outside of his couple of blemishes that we all have. I know I do. I just want Mom to feel good on a Friday show. Let's go.
No concern. No concern though. We're overreaction first 2 days of practice, but just going back to Darnell Wright, great that he tests well like that, but to get blown up by Terrell Lewis like that, I know Terrell Lewis is a huge dude, and this is the NFL, so you're gonna get blown up. But I mean, he got powered back, right? And my whole thing with why I was fine with the Bears drafting Jaylon Carter, and I know everyone's gonna say he wouldn't have worked here. He would have. It's the better culture of the Eagles. They got a veteran. It wouldn't have worked here. He wouldn't have been whatever. That's fine. I personally would have drafted Jaylon Carter. I have no issue giving Justin Fields protection. But my criteria, if you're going to draft a right tackle in the top 10, is that he's a top 5 right tackle in this league at some point in his career. I don't need it right away, but I need a top 5 right tackle in this league at some point, sooner rather than later.
It's a fair expectation for drafting somebody that high.
I don't think I'm being unreasonable in that.
I think
it's like when we talk about Fields. Like, guys, it's year 3, and he was a top 11 pick. Like, at quarterback, and you traded up for him. Like, the dude has to be good. Same thing with Darnell Wright. Like, we're talking about. I mean, it applies really to any first round pick, but especially top 10 picks. Like, these are players that. You just look at the money. Like, Devin Witherspoon finally came to a deal with the Seahawks. Like, that money they're getting is like the money a lot of the other guys just get with extensions after 4 good seasons. Like, you're expected to come in and perform. So I think that's completely fair.
I just want to be clear about a couple things. We'll start with the Jaylon Carter thing, because I was very outspoken that I didn't think the Bears should take him for everything that was going on off the field. I also said that it was going to be annoying when there was going to be a bunch of word coming out of wherever he gets drafted, now Eagles camp, that he's killing it, and that's what's happening. The guy's having an unbelievable camp so far. He's just wrecking their offensive line, and it's a damn good offensive line. So that could be something that we'll be talking about here. And again, I said don't do it, but look, I'm not saying that I don't think Tyreek Stevenson's going to be a good cornerback. I'm not saying that I don't think that Braxton Jones that Darnell Wright's going to be a good right tackle. But when you're talking about this season and winning games immediately, early on, right now, I would say that it is something that should be underlined, talked about, that these guys are, because they're rookies, have a ways to go. And in the press conference today, Alan Williams, the Bears defensive coordinator, talked at length about how Kyler Gordon is now playing football this year in year 2 versus thinking about playing football and trying to master things. It takes time. It's the NFL. There's a zillion things on these guys' plate competing against the best players in the world. It's very rare for somebody to be able to step in and be dominant right away. Now, it's easier on the offensive line, I suppose, when you like, hey, you got this dude in front of you, win the battle. But Darnell Wright was talking about today, it's like some things that he's doing right now, or he's learning that some things that he used to do in college ain't gonna work here. Well, that's a big time adjustment to do against big time players. So I think it's to me, it seems like it's going to take a second, which is going to put Fields in a little bit of peril.
Well, we'll see. We're talking about Darnell Wright because he talked today mostly. I'm not putting anything really on offensive or defensive line right now until I see the pads go on.
Right.
And
That's
but
fair.
I mean, I brought it up after all of OTAs and minicamp. I said, there's a few times where a lot of times it was Terrell Lewis getting in the backfield and it was coming against him. So it's like,
Well, that's the thing, because okay, he can't enforce his power, just like we were talking about with Tyreek Stevenson, because the pads aren't on.
Yeah.
Or I mean speed, whatever. But what I'm trying to say is, with this, to get powered back, I mean, that's what Braxton Jones needs to get better with, right?
yeah. Well, look, there was a rep yesterday where Tevin Jenkins got out in the flat and would have, in a game, would have killed the defensive back. In a padded practice, would have at least got his hands on him and pushed him far back. In non-padded practice, he just sort of like had to, put his hands up a little bit, and then the guy ended up sort of simulating a tackle, and it's like that play was not realistic at all, because the pads aren't on. So there's definitely a lot of that going on right now. All right, I want to get to Jaylon Johnson, but first, got to talk about Pins and Aces, our golf apparel partner at ALLCITY and CHGO. We love our Pins and Aces gear. Get tons of compliments on and off the course. I'm going to be on the course tomorrow. I don't know how I'm going to play 36 holes tomorrow, but I'm going to do my best, and I'm going to be wearing my Pins and Aces hat and polo for sure. Pins and Aces is great. They're a family-owned golf and apparel business. They make amazing polos, hats, golf bags, and our favorite, the beer sleeve. Fits right in your golf bag, even on a hot day. It's an innovative product that allows you to store 7 beers right inside your golf bag. They will keep your drinks cold the entire round. Check out pinsandaces.com. Use code CHGO to receive 15% off your first order and get free shipping. That's pinsandaces.com.
Check out Pins and Aces, then you have to check out Goose Island Beer Company. CHGO is supported by Goose Island. It's been Chicago's beer since 1988. Let me just give you the beer roster real quick. You have, of course, the Goose IPA, the 6-time medal winner, Great American Beer Fest, always in style, citrus aroma, bold hop finish. Got the Tropical Beer Hug, dry hopped Imperial IPA, 9.9 alcohol percent. That's dangerously easy to drink. And of course, you have the Full Pocket Pills, everyday beer, what the brewers are drinking. And right now you can grab an ultra fresh brewery exclusive beer at Goose Island's original brew house on Clybourne Avenue in Lincoln Park, or from their tap room on Fulton Street in Westtown. Goose Island, Chicago beer.
And CHGO's Bears training camp coverage that you love, brought to you by the ComEd Energy Efficiency Program. Learn more at ComEd.com/powering biz. Thank you to our friends at ComEd.
Let's go. All right. Jaylon Johnson, after a quick lesson on hair.
I love Jaylon Johnson.
Okay, first of all, I've never felt less in the loop than when Jaylon Johnson.
I knew the first two things.
Well, he held up a do-rag. He's like, what is this do-rag? Okay. Then he held up a brush. What is this? Okay, it's a brush. And then he held up something that I don't forget. I don't even remember what he said, what it was.
On the way here, and
it's supposed to help the waves in his hair.
It was funny. Herb Howard was like, "You're doing too much, Jaylon.
Herb was like, "No, man, you're doing too much." Like
that was hilarious.
That was a great exchange.
Well, it was awesome looking at all the black reporters in the room that were just like fascinated in what he was doing. Like, I mean, our Herb was right in there, and then
there was me in the front row, like.
Right, all the white guys were like, "Okay, I have no like we're out over our skis here, 100%." The head coach of Carmel Catholic was absolutely fascinated by what's going on. It's like, yeah, no, I'm bald right now.
It was called a lay down pad.
Lay down pad. That's
Okay.
right. Lay down pad. Never heard of that.
Well, I appreciated the lesson.
Yeah,
it's good. It was a fun way to start the press conference too. Mm-hmm. And then he's like, "All right, bring on the contract questions."
Jason McKee, by the way, that should say the head coach's name, who is your boss.
My boss. Yeah. One of many bosses. Braggs is one of them.
That's right.
Right now, yeah.
I'm the captain now.
Producer Greg.
That's messed up.
It
Not
is
comfortable, but yes. Okay,
for
back
the
to
next 30 minutes, he technically is.
That's true.
Bragg's doing a hell of a job. He's producing and hosting
this
at the same time.
Yeah.
Let's go. Well, don't jinx it. Don't jinx it. I'll mess something up.
Bragg's our hero. Hoge's my daddy.
So This is the first time that I have legitimately felt some optimism about a Jaylon Johnson contract extension getting done before the season. We've talked about this a lot this offseason, and I've always felt like there might be a disconnect between how the Bears value Jaylon Johnson and how Jaylon Johnson values Jaylon Johnson. And part of that is because Jaylon Johnson, to his credit, always talks very confidently about himself. He is not afraid of number one wide receivers. He wants to be that shutdown number one corner. And most of the times he shows that. But there are some things that are lacking here in these contract negotiations. One being ball production. Two being accolades, which is how Jaylon referred to them today. We're talking about things like Pro Bowl nods and All-Pro designations. And sometimes that can get hairy when a guy plays really well and is the Bears' top corner, but doesn't necessarily have all that to back up the tape. That's where you can get a divide. And we've heard the Bears talk about ball production so much that I've just been kind of worried that they're going to be too far apart to come to an agreement. Like you kind of felt like Cole Kmet and the Bears were going to do all along. Hearing Jaylon Johnson talk today, though, and openly admit, like, yeah, I'm not getting Trayvon Diggs money. I know that. Like, that came up, and he like scoffed at it. He's like, no, I'm not getting that. And understanding that those accolades are not there, he said, I'm not a 3-time All-Pro sitting here without a contract. I appreciated him saying those things. But then it left a door open that I wanted to get answered and finally did towards the end, which was, well, here's the deal, though. If he goes out and accomplishes some of those things this season without a contract, then maybe he can get that type of money in the offseason. So does he want to go that route, or would he still like to get this thing worked out before the regular season? And I asked him that, if he had to pick between those two options, he's like, I want to get this thing done. So if he understands all those things and he still wants to get an extension before the regular season, and oh, by the way, he's at camp, he's not holding out. Mm-hmm. Ryan Poles showed an appreciation the other day that he was there. For the first time, I feel like they're actually somewhat close, or maybe not as far apart as I maybe feared in this. And they might be able to get this thing done before the season starts.
I think Jaylon Johnson's always been a very mature player, even though this is only going into his 4th season. Like, he brings up the Trayvon Diggs. Like, I'm nowhere near there. But he also, in that press conference, said, I do need to get better. And if he's holding out, he's not able to be on the football field. And he has no plans or even thoughts about ever wanting to do that. So there's just a very mature aspect about Jaylon Johnson that he knows what he needs to do and put himself in the best position to potentially get that next contract extension. And he knows that his game, he might have to adjust some things. And Alan Williams talked about it. Like, this is year 2 where now he's able to be more instinctual because he knows the plays a little bit more than he did last season. But Jaylon Johnson, I think how he approached today and some tough questions about the contract, you see why he is the way he is and why he's at camp, wanting to battle DJ Moore every single rep that he can. I think that, all plays well into him hopefully having an ascending season where you do see a little bit more turnover production.
Well, shout out to Herb Howard again. And I was a little bit confused when Jaylon was talking, because when he was taking himself out of like, no, I don't expect Trayvon Diggs money. He's got 15 to 17 interceptions in his career. He's got 17. And, he's a multiple-time Pro Bowler. That's not me. And so I'm like, it almost felt to me like he was just downing himself too much. Like he was, and then at the back end of the press conference, like Herb asked him, hey, you're kind of talking differently. And Jaylon pushed immediately back at that, saying like, what do you, no. I see myself as a Pro Bowler. I just haven't been named that. And I definitely know that I can get picks. And maybe I got to make a couple adjustments here. And I am that lockdown guy. But you can absolutely put me on the best guy that's on that field, and I'm going to shut him down. So don't get it twisted. Mm-hmm. Don't think that I don't think I'm as good as Trayvon Diggs. I think he's living in the reality that these are the numbers, and that's what they pay on. And he's not going to get that. So he's willing to settle for what in his mind is fair market value, which memo to the Bears. And I thought it was interesting that Paul said the other day that signing Cole Kmet was good for that locker room. signing Jaylon Johnson to a fair deal is good for that locker room. He is well respected. Jaquan Brisker would love to see that. Kyler Gordon would love to see that. Eddie Jackson would love to see that. I mean, you can go through a whole litany of guys who I'm sure are rooting for that dude to get his paper. And outside of the fact that he's a good player, that he's earned it, that's another factor I think that Poles should, and I'm sure he is considering, as to, whether or not making this deal right now.
And I, also think about what Poles said yesterday about, how maybe the average per year is pretty overrated and is a number that people talk about, but they don't really look at a ton. I mean, it's obviously a column in the spreadsheet that's on there, but you can get creative with these deals. And to me, a Jaylon Johnson deal that includes incentives for, reaching some of those accolades that aren't there right now would make a lot of sense. You're rewarding him for, hey, you do become an all-pro. Bam. Here's a huge bonus. If you reach a certain amount of interceptions, maybe, here's another bonus. You can do stuff like that where you can agree right now that, hey, okay, this is probably what the value is, but we want to leave this open so that if you start overperforming it, it's not like you're just going to be out money. You start playing like Trayvon Diggs with all that ball production, we'll reward you for it. I think in this case, that makes a ton of sense.
I mean, so today at camp, at one point, it looked like Velus Jones was open down the sideline. Mm-hmm. And Jaylon Jones, who's known for doing this, made it look like Velus Jones was open, but he's tracking him. He's catching up to it. And then as the ball's in the air, he closes and bats it down. And my guy, Lou Medina, made the comment. He goes, well, that's, you got to pick that off if you want the extension. And, it was a nice play, right? But the play that Eberflus is looking for, because he probably could have intercepted it. It's easy for my ass to say that, but I probably would not have intercepted it. That's what Eberflus wants him to do is get his hands on that football too and bring it down.
That was not a great throw by Justin on that particular play. It was underthrown.
It was. I don't even think it was underthrown. I think it was late.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah. I think he throws it a touch sooner. It's right. The spacing between the wide receiver and
a safety in front of him and a corner behind.
Yeah, because it's one of those tough cover two throws. Those deep intermediate where you got to fit it in that window to the sideline. It's not an easy throw. It's a throw that Justin definitely has the arm strength to make, but a lot of it has to do with timing there too. So,
and a guy here in the chat, a very proud dad, put per PFF, JJ was ranked 8th in forced incompletion rate, 15.3% since 2020.
Well, and I thought that a great moment today, and when Jaylon was talking, was his exchange with Mark Potash. We're not playing sound today, but you can go back and you can find it if you want. But so he basically said, like, hey, do you have to change your game to get paid, take more risk, but now you're coming out of your comfort zone of doing what you do, which is shutting down guys. So you're going to just take more risk to get paid, which might not be the best thing for the football team. And Jaylon was like a little bit confused as to what he was talking. So he's like, one thing I love about him is he asked me, like, well, what do you mean by that? Rather than just like giving some standard answer. Then he goes back and says, oh, I get it. And he's like, there are ways in which I can get better. I can play off the ball better. I can be smarter here. I can look at, I got to work on that. And I'm also not going to, change the way I play too. He's saying I'm not a perfect player. There's ways in which, but there are ways in which that I can improve. I just thought it was a great answer, and I appreciated his patience of just trying to understand and I like the question from Potash too.
And maturity.
Potsy's just a home run guy every day.
That's true. That's true. That's true.
You know what you're going to get from Potsy. You're going to get a great tweet on report day that says 168 days until locker room clean out.
That's fantastic.
I mean, that was
that's behind the scenes
pro level.
Behind the scenes media real quick. Brad Biggs is front row right in the middle, and today he was second row on the who stole Biggs' seat? How did that happen?
Patrick Finley's got the golden ticket lately. That's what you guys revealed.
I don't.
You're putting me on the hot seat right now.
Somebody
feel
messed with
bad
Biggs.
because I
you know what happened?
No, I just don't know who that is that was sitting there.
Oh, so a random person just came into practice today that you don't know. You've been covering the team for 13 years and sat in Brad Biggs' seat.
That person has not been there for 13 years.
I understand.
I would say maybe 3 days.
I don't remember.
So a 3-day person disrespected Biggs. This is a major issue.
Biggs doesn't have an assigned seat.
Yes, he does.
Nobody has an assigned seat.
Biggs
No
has an
names
assigned
over there.
seat. Nobody sits in Biggs' seat. You would never sit in Biggs' seat.
I have, and I will.
Oh, I don't buy it. I don't buy it at all. Those are internet key safety of mansion home talk right now.
My guy Gary Ross, who's always all over it on the Twitter scene, just monitoring Twitter. Yannick Ngakoue just tweeted, "Ready to rush." So
Okay.
Rush to a team, ready to rush the quarterback.
just wanted to
ready
get there.
So
or
he's signing with the Chicago Rush.
maybe he's signing with the Chicago Rush.
Are we going to get a
Maybe he's on
Yannick
his way to-
Ngakoue Bear right now on a Friday? Late
Good
news
Friday.
dump in Ngakoue?
R.I.P. Chicago Rush, by the way.
Just to make it clear, I didn't break any news. Okay. Learned my lessons.
Let's make sure it's a real account.
Yeah, because when we were on the Cubs Sox bus for the event, when Lucas Giolito got traded, I yelled to Sean, like, he didn't know. And then, of course, because of what I've done in my life, they're like, well, let's ask somebody else.
What I've done in my
What
life.
I've done. Yeah, he tweeted that 2 hours ago. Ready to rush. That is a real account.
I don't question Gary Ross's reporting. So if he tells me, you can take it to the
Neither do
bank.
I. Gary, I honestly, and Gary, don't listen right now. I probably owe Gary Ross money for how much information he gives me all day long.
So do I. It's true. He's been the epitome of becoming a diehard.
True.
And that's who Gary Ross is. He epitomizes
Well,
becoming
and
a diehard.
speaking of being a diehard, that's what you want to be right now, because we have this awesome golf outing coming up next month, August 25th. We're less than a month away. We want to get you signed up. We've been selling foursomes like crazy. This thing is filling up. We're excited. What are you pointing at?
A still screen.
Jesus
Uh-oh.
Christ. It says live on mine.
Well,
If you can hear us, you can.
yeah, I'm going to
Let
keep
us know.
going just in case. August 25th, 9 a.m., 18 holes with a cart, exclusive CHGO and Pins and Aces polo for all players, whole contest, giveaway prizes, lunch, drinks, and ceremony after the round. There is a discount if you are a diehard. Plus, we get podcasts and live shows every day, regardless of if you're with us or not, as a diehard. But when you are a diehard, events like the golf outing, events like we had earlier this week at the ballpark, whatever we got going on, you get a discount. Our tailgate's coming up. You'll get a discount, and you'll get a discount on all merch all the time. But we should also mention right now, you get extra because we got a huge summer sale going on through the weekend, through Sunday, up to 50% off select items through July 30th. It's on the CHGO locker right now, so make sure you go check it out. And if you're a diehard, you're getting my newsletter every morning throughout camp, Monday through Friday. Appreciate everybody who's been reading that and the responses. So
This show's so close to going off the rails. I'm so terrified.
Relax.
Between the
We're-
screen freezing, the screen we can look at, and then Carm almost dropping his.
No. No
computer.
one's dropping anything. Are we? I can't wait to see everybody out at the golf outing. Also,
Carm's trying to get me to golf tonight so he can size up the game here. I
didn't
see
even
what he's
think of
doing.
that. I was just throwing out a nice offer to you. I know you suck at golf. Couldn't be less worried about your talents. Get fitted out in the best sports gear around: hoodies, shoes, signs, bobbleheads, everything in between. It is baseball season. How about them Cubbies? Aloha shirts, straw hats, polos, bags, everything you need for a game. Foco.com. You know it. You love it. FOCO.com. I love our friends at Foco. Click the link in the description below for all non-presale items. Use that promo code CHGO, and you will get yourself 10% off. Thank you to our friends at Foco. I forget what's coming up here, but I do want to talk about Jaquan Brisker before we leave. Hoagie.
well, first thing we got to talk about here in our final segment, if we have any super chats, we'll sneak those in here as well. But you guys see what the Packers did today?
Oh, that was messed up.
I mean, just
Messed up.
classic Packers business right here. So this morning at 8:53 a.m., the Packers social media team put out, "Smile, it's your birthday. Hashtag go Pack Go. Hashtag smile like a pro. Happy birthday to Jonathan Garvin, wearing number 53 for the green and gold. It's a great day. It's his birthday. That was at 8:53 this morning. At 11:52, Matt LaFleur said the Packers released Jonathan Garvin.
That is so messed up.
So happy birthday to Jonathan.
You're gone. You have no job.
That is the social media team and the head coach not being on the same page. Get your shit together, Green Bay. Hey, you
It's
might
just a disaster up there.
you might not want to wish this dude a happy birthday because we're about to cut him.
Okay.
Garvin gone. Tough world out there, Garvin. I
Yeah.
get it.
That's how the Green Bay Packers treat their players. Terrible.
Just, this is what Aaron Rodgers has been talking about for years.
I
Had to
mean,
get out.
I did try to convince Robert to get you to say Green Bay sucks. Trying to, but
Who'd you say that to?
Robert Tunyon.
what'd he say?
I was like, I'll let you off the hook, but I was hoping he would.
I have some sources that tell me that Robert Tunyon was possibly wearing some gear from his old team in public recently.
I heard
So-
the same thing,
I wanna-
Adam.
So
Interesting.
I don't know.
Mhm.
Can we get him some more Bears gear or something? I don't know what's going on there. Maybe some CHGO gear.
Let's do that. That's a
We
good
can
idea.
get him some CHGO gear for sure. Got a great sale going on. I bought 4 shirts yesterday. He is wearing Air Jordan cleats, Robert
Oh, they
Tunyon.
look great. Yep. Icy.
Yeah.
Icy blue cleats.
Yeah. I mean, embracing the greatest player of all time that's a good way to endear yourself to Bears fans, Bulls fans, Chicago. I'm with you, Robert Tunyon.
Okay.
That does nothing for you. Come on, man. Bulls.
Well, Fields was obviously motivated by Nick's green ass shoes yesterday because he had the green ass cleats on today.
Didn't
And
even
for
notice.
his Hoyas, his high school team was green.
Green.
Yeah, but
very
this
good.
was like the bright green,
The
like the ones-
highlighter,
If you saw Nick's, check out my Instagram story from yesterday. If it's
Nick's
still there.
shoes today look like ice cream. They do. I don't know if you're gonna put them all the way up, but they look like ice cream. You can't really.
What are you
see it.
talking about?
Look at it. You can't look at it. Turn your leg.
And Braggs just tore Nick's ACL.
It's like cookies and cream on the thing.
I don't like the. You know what?
That was
I've
awkward.
I've seen
These
those.
are-
I don't like those. What do you call it? The sole of the shoe.
Yeah.
I don't know what that is. Like.
It looks like ice cream.
Okay.
Okay.
Here goes my Achilles.
Can we do Brisker now? Quickly.
I guess if you want to.
Okay. I love Jaquan Brisker. I'm a big fan of Jaquan Brisker. I believe in Jaquan Brisker. I am he talked openly about the concussion today.
Oh
and-
yeah.
And it's a real thing. I asked him, like, was this the toughest thing that you ever had to deal with his career? Pretty much knowing that he was going to say yes, and he did. And then he had lost his mojo, is I think how he put it. And then Sam Acho came, guest of the show, friend of the show. Sam Acho came and spoke and said to Brisker, like, you're an energy guy. I love what you bring. And it reminded Brisker that he was that, like, it almost like jump started him out of the fog of the concussion world that he was living in coming out of that. And I asked him point blank, like, did you ever think that was there at any point during your recovery that you thought that maybe you weren't going to get back on the field? And he said a very quick no to that. But Herb started this conversation too. It was just like, look, you play safety. You have to come up and hit people. When you've had a serious concussion like that you missed a lot of time with, that can't be easy coming back to the football field. So I'm rooting for Jaquan. I think it's just worth noting. It's a big deal for what he's coming back from.
I remember actually Mark asking him that whole conversation reminded me of a conversation I had with Brisker during the season when he came back from the concussions. And I asked him, are you going to play any different? Gave the same exact answer then that he gave today. He's still going to be physical and he's not going to be hesitant to make that big hit. But that's just who Brisker is. And hopefully we, just continue to see him ascend as a player in year 2.
He's also, like, at the end, these things probably don't matter to anyone, but they're nice little touches. When he left his presser today, he gets up, he's all smiles. Thanks so much, guys. Have a great day. Like, that's, I mean, he's an incredibly likable dude.
Yep.
So I want people to know things like that about, dudes like that, Brisker is very likable. Kyler Gordon got a ton of props today too from Alan Williams.
Spider-Man
staying in that room.
Spidey senses.
That's why he's that's
okay.
my guy.
So I couldn't get my question in at the end. There was a big drama in the media room, okay, because Alan Williams was cut short, and he said he still wanted to talk, but he was cut short, and he had to go in the other room, do other interviews, which it looked like was Larry. So everybody was mad at Larry, but it turns out sources tell me there was Adam Johnson. So that exactly.
Johns is like, I think he had a bunch of one-on-ones today. He just kept on pulling dudes into the corner. I'm like, you know what? Enough with this Johns character.
Yeah, and Johns is just.
Thought he goes to London for his first
right.
week of practice.
Usually you're not here. Now you're stealing everyone's interviews. I mean, what the hell is going on here? But what I was going to say was I was trying to get the question because he talked about all these great things. Spidey senses playing the nickel. That's actually a really good thing. It seems like a great fit. I just want to know, like, because Kyler Gordon's openly told us he still wishes he was playing outside. Mm-hmm. You know, what those internal discussions have been like, or, you know, because he looks really good playing where he's at. And I think it's a good thing that they're limiting him to just the nickel as long as they have the other personnel to play the second outside corner spot. But you also want to have complete and 100% buy-in from the player.
Well,
he's been open about it, Mark, like saying he wants to still be able to play outside, but he sees the benefits of also playing inside too. Because I think he wants to get in on tackles. He almost tackled Deontay Foreman in yesterday's practice, blew up a screenplay, and was right there instinctually because he's athletic enough. But yeah, I wonder how they're going to manage that throughout the season, where inside, outside. But I think the nickel's where he could do some damage.
Well, Nick, I thought you made a great point the other day, just underlining that teams put their best player in the slot all the time. So it's actually a compliment to Kyler that the Bears want him there. But I guess the point that I want to make about all the compliments that are being thrown his way, it's like they've put less, they've taken stuff off his plate, and the way Alan Williams is talking, he ain't moving outside probably ever. Like, they like him there. And so even if Tyreek struggles early on in his career, I don't think they would move. I don't think they're moving Kyler Gordon at all to compensate if that does happen.
Yep.
All right, I know we got at least one super
my
chat.
Guy Vildor too.
Kindle.
Don't give me
I like
look.
Kindle.
I like
I'm a Kindle. I
Vildor.
looked at you that look because why is he your guy? I've been on the
I like Kindle.
I've been on the Vildor train. He's not
Good,
your
man.
guy.
He's our guy.
Okay, fair.
I love our chat because they are very observant of not just the show, but our looks. Is it Deion Allen is saying, that your mustache and beard combo is working, Nick. Earlier, they were making fun of Carm's hair. My guy here, Bro Delicious, in the chat saying, I look very hungry because of my diet. He said, when he thinks a sole of a shoe looks like ice cream, it might be time for a cheat day. And he's not wrong. My cheat day's on Saturday. So we're almost there, Bro Delicious. So, and then I heard somebody say it house with the way we're all dressed up. So,
well, also we look incredibly sweaty and
not our best.
Right.
Sunscreened up, which is accurate. Because we came straight from the practice field.
So yes, we have a couple super chats in here that I wanted to pull up. $20 here from Ryan Maring. Found this show from Hogan John's first episode. Had to turn off halfway because of Mark.
Thanks.
Sorry, Mark. I did not realize this was happening as I read it. 50 episodes later, Mark Carman is probably as I'm literally
just read it.
I'm like, because I didn't read it before
I
read it.
Exactly.
So I'm having a journey through this. 50 episodes later, and Mark Carman is probably my favorite podcast personality, period. It's between him and Zach Lowe.
Thank you, Dad.
Brian,
wow,
for giving me a heart attack for reading that on the air. And then totally
if you want to talk shit about Carm, you just have to pay for it. You want to give us $100 super chat to say whatever you want about Carm.
Be careful with that offer.
Or not. Thank you, Ryan. I really appreciate it, brother.
Yes. Yes, that was very nice of Ryan.
What about Big Cram? This is frightening.
Yes, so Big Cram. We don't know where this is going either. Shout out to the positive training camp news because these White Sox have me depressed. Only thing they have now is that they have better uniforms and hats than the Cubs. Also not true. Also, Bragg's looking thin there. Appreciate you. Still working on it. Got
Yeah,
some more
yeah.
pounds to lose, but we're making progress. ladies
first
and
ever
gentlemen.
appearance by Big Cram, and he just goes right to the White Sox. This dude's on point. He
There's
just,
been a lot of White Sox chat.
Well, they traded.
There's been more trades.
They traded Lance Lynn and some other bum.
But they did another trade during the show.
they traded Kendall Graveman before.
Kendall
the-
Graveman.
Yeah.
It's just, I think
The
an
Cubs
Astro now?
buried you guys. It was a beautiful night.
Graveman's an
Trubisky.
Astro. Lance Lynn, and who did they send with Lynn?
Joe Kelly.
And Joe Kelly, right?
And then our guy Frankie Reagan, who was at training camp today. I got to take pictures with all of you except for Nick. Thank you so much for taking your time out of the day for the fans. CHGO Best Podcast and Best Podcast for Bears.
Yeah.
And all of Chicago. Thank you for
Sorry,
the
Frankie.
experience. No, the Knicks on the grind.
So shout out to Hayden, who said hello, Michael, Jesus, Frank. I'm not sure if it's the same Frankie, but whatever. I
You're
talked
just
to
making people up now.
no, I
was
take
Aiden.
Aiden. I have Hayden.
Oh.
If either one, he knows what I was talking about. He's sitting a couple rows in front of us. He was awesome. Q, my man Q said hello. And then also last night I was sitting at dinner at good old Hackney's, and I got a message from my guy Adam, who I'm sitting there. Have you guys been to Hackney's? Been to Hackney's?
Oh, yeah. In Glenview?
Yeah, they got the onion loaf, like the big loaf. So she's like, I don't want to be rude since you're sitting with your family, but I hope you order an onion brick in honor of Braggs. And
Corner of what?
it's
Brick.
like it's a brick of an onion, like it's a brick
Okay,
loaf
cool.
basically. So and we had just ordered it, so I said we just did come say hi, and then Adam walked over. We had a nice little CHGO talk at the good old Hackney. So thank you for saying hi, Adam. Appreciated that. We love it when anyone
Our
says
guy
hello.
Gary Ross talking a lot of smack because he's going to be at training camp tomorrow, and he's like challenging me as first to the bus. How about you just save my spot in line, Gary? Trying to get some sleep.
Did you sleep at all last night?
I finally got some sleep last night. I fell asleep around 11 o'clock and slept till about 5:30. It was
Wow.
very,
that's good.
very nice. Hadn't
Much
slept
needed.
in 2 days, so that felt. It was like the combine vibes all over again. Before I fell asleep, I was like getting delirious.
There was a
but
Raggedy Ann doll just walking around.
yeah, we got some raggedy.
What a
Ann.
time.
One thing before we go today, I put this note down. Kari Blasingame,
Mhm.
Mr. Greg Bragg's betting him every week to get in the end zone. Kari Blasingame getting the ball a ton in this training camp. Fields is they're lining him out wide. Fields is throwing the ball to him. I'm not saying that it's going to be some big story this year, but to this point in training camp, Blasingame's getting a lot of touches.
Fullbacks.
That's my guy.
My favorite
people
part,
too.
my favorite part of camp today, aside from when Nick walked up, all geared up, he's got the handheld thing, he's got his water jug, like he is ready. And he looks like military training camp guy. And then Carm walks up behind with his floppy hat and sunscreen all over his face. It was the funniest thing I ever seen. But the other part that was really funny.
Carm was having some issues with the sunscreen.
I had a rough morning. I got to be honest.
He looked like
like a
an
ghost.
idiot.
I've got
It was so funny.
I've got 2 sunscreens in my tennis bag because I'm a great tennis player. Damn it! But I this one I think. The one I have one that's functional, and then this one I think was from like 1946, and I just put it out there, and it's like I'm putting it on me, and I'm putting it on my arms like this is disgusting. Like it made my arms like straight white, but then I was just pot committed at that point, so I put it on my face, and then I'm walking up, and you're just looking at me like so horrified.
You looked like an idiot. It was so funny.
It was like you were a ghost.
You looked like a total idiot. Yeah, Nick walks up. Then Adam walks up, Mark comes back, and I was, should we let him sit by us?
The best part was when he finally got back into the media room after practice and he got in the bathroom and looked in the mirror, he saw how white it actually looked, and he was like, "Why didn't you tell me?"
Yeah.
And I was like,
It
"I did
so on brand.
7 times."
And my other favorite moment was during walkthroughs and installations segment, because Carm's been on this, Fields might be a tick late, so they were really methodically running through plays, and Hoge goes to Mark and goes, "Hey, how fast do you think, Fields is reading this here?" And he kind of shot back. It was very funny.
It was
That was
a little slow.
It was a little slow.
Well, there was that one play where
Jaylon Johnson.
they lobbed the ball up way too high.
Yeah.
Jaylon Johnson didn't even go for it.
Yeah.
DJ Moore
Bad
almost
effort.
dropped it. Everybody's moving at half speed. it was a walkthrough. They were just
It
it was like the scene in Little Giants where they're like spying on the kids and they can't figure out what's going on. And he's finally like, butts, they're standing around.
I do want to give credit to the Bears a little bit here because I don't know if you guys saw Kyle Long's tweet, but he said like early in training camp, everything hurts because you're getting back into it. And to what you guys underlined earlier, that it's damn ass hot out there. So slowing it down, I know old school people, Dan Hampton hearing this right now would punch me in the face too, but like get out there and pit and go. But like modern day football, I think I'm slowing down right now in this heat with the early start of camp. It makes a lot of sense.
Well, I will say this though. I want to see them go tomorrow. Like,
yeah.
Okay.
Like,
but you got to have some hard practices here and there too. And today was a longer practice actually, but I mean, I want to see them get after it tomorrow. There was that almost weird huddle today where Flus brought the whole team together, and I'm like, oh, they're about to go here, and then they still really didn't. So
I think he was warning them about hitting. Right. I think afterwards is kind of what my guess was. Like, all right, we're gonna run this, and be careful about how much you're hitting each other.
Yeah, Flus will be talking tomorrow. So,
and speaking of Kyle Long, when you're coming into training camp in the Bears Pro Shop, there's a discount part of the Pro Shop, and there's a bunch of Kyle Long jerseys, like 200 of them for 50% off right now. So like, if you're trying to get a Kyle Long jersey for cheap, they got them there. So you're welcome, Bears. I just got your bills paid.
That was a big Kyle Long guy. That's a great jersey. If you're gonna,
that's what I'm saying. I was like, normally the discounted jerseys are somebody, but Kyle Long is a staple of this team. So
I take a 75. I'll bet.
Just trying to give
long-time Bears guy.
Camp guys.
It's true.
All right, we're out of here. It's been a fun week of shows. Tomorrow the Bears do practice. They're off on Sunday. We will not have a show tomorrow because it's the weekend, but we will be back Monday, of course, and Monday through Friday with all the action-packed training camp recap show. It's been a fun week. Appreciate everybody following along. But we'll still have practice covered tomorrow. Make sure you are following, especially these guys at the Carm, at Nicholas Moreano, at G Braggs Jr. 23. Are you on the phone right now?
Going live in Kansas City. They want to talk Bears. I'll be ready. Don't you worry. Show's ending.
This is unbelievable, this guy. I'm going to now purposely go slow as I end this shit. No, I'm just kidding. AllCHGO.com is where you can get all the coverage. Make sure you're reading Nick and all on the Twitters and Instagrams and everything. Braggs, good job today.
Seriously, great work.
Double duty.
We're all doing a great job.
I see your super chat right at the last second too. Anthony, $4.99. Happy Friday. Thank you guys for once having my favorite sports media was late because I was at Sunnyside. Appreciate it. A lot of people with the Sunnyside comments.
Sunnyside Fridays.
Let's go. Use that code. And we're out of here. We'll see everyone back Monday. Talk to you later.